What's up, guys? Welcome back to the stream. Today is day 81 and super excited to be able to just continue grinding forward. I actually have a bit of an update today. We have seen a pretty good uptick in ViewCreator subscriptions from new users, and they're not just getting the free plan, they're actually getting the pro plan. So I've seen a steady uptick this week of people that are actually interested in ViewCreator and using it. So, that's one thing that's really good. I think revenue is at what, $1,469 as of this morning. So, super happy to have that. But let me do a couple things. Let me submit this prompt real quick. And on the front end in the actual production site, it is throwing a 500 error. Review this here and identify what is causing this. I don't like to use get static props. Right now, we are rendering the blogs from this public directory, but would there be a better approach that we could take that would still work, but wouldn't use get static props? I know this is a Next.js site, but I don't like get static props. I don't like to use get static props. But yeah, welcome in, guys. There's a couple things that I want to say off the bat. But yeah, one thing that's like kind of a pretty big update is just that, we are seeing an uptick in people that are subscribing, right? And something that I've continued to say and will continue to say is right now, we're not really trying to drive revenue. Ultimately, we do want to drive revenue, and that will be something that we end up driving, and that I do believe that we will see a significant uptick. But for right now, it's not really the main purpose, right? Like right now, we have the verification processes pending. Max, how's it going? Max was first. Yep, Max, what's up? Thank you, appreciate it, man. But we just have so many things going for us, and so many things that I see as just good positives, right? And one of them is that we're now seeing an uptick with this, so I'm very, very happy about that. Also, Max, thanks for sending the stream in the Discord. I appreciate it. So welcome in, guys. Welcome. Thank you, Max. Shout out to Max. Great moderator, by the way. Thank you. I appreciate it. But guys, something that I want to talk about before we get too deep into the stream this morning is I've written up on the board kind of an interesting concept that I was actually thinking about last night. Just while I was working, I had a no talking stream. I don't know if you guys saw it last night, but I have written on the board here, eat alone, and something that I want to talk about, and I've actually never shared before, really, with anybody, and not really, it's just, but something interesting to think about is when I was in high school, I did not fit in. I did not really have a friend group. I did not really have a ton of friends when I was in high school. I was a little bit of more of a lone wolf, so to speak, right? And when I was a freshman, there's a group of guys that bullied me and just made fun of me, called me names, and when I was in high school, I was like 5 foot, maybe 5'1". I was really short. I didn't hit my growth spurt until I was like a junior in high school, and then I was still growing in college. So I was like this short, scrawny kid, and I got messed with, and it really hurt my self-confidence. And honestly, I was really insecure when I was in high school, okay? And it was because of that fact, right? I had a group of kids that were messing with me. I didn't really fit in. It really hurt my self-confidence. It made me nervous to talk to other people or to make friends. It really hurt me, right? And I would actually eat in the bathroom when I was a freshman in high school. I would eat literally by myself in the bathroom, and then I learned like halfway through the year that I could also go to the library, which is a little bit more sanitary than the bathroom for eating. But I ate alone. And, I have written up on the board this concept of eating alone because, there was, let's say, a difficult portion of my life when I was like 15, 16 years old. But one thing that it taught me is it taught me to be okay with being alone. And it kind of made me, it forced me to let go of some of this almost, I don't even know what I would describe it as, but almost like a pressure to be accepted and a pressure to be liked. And it caused me, if I go back to that time, once I accepted that, and I found that it was okay to eat alone and that there was nothing wrong with it, and that I started to build my own path. It forced me. I started working out. I started going to the gym. I started doing a bunch of like self-improvement stuff because I essentially gave up caring about fitting in. I gave up caring about having a social life with a bunch of friends and being well liked. And that pattern then continued into the rest of my life. And it's interesting because now, as I'm on the other side of that difficult period, let's say, of where I spent a lot of time alone, I spent a lot of time by myself, I became accustomed to that, and I started to learn that I am totally okay with being alone and being by myself and working on things that are related to, like, let's say self-growth, or, for example, one of those is like exercising. I didn't have a bunch of friends, and I would just pour that time into exercising. And then in college, instead of hanging out with friends, it would be like reading, and then it started to be programming, and then it started to be all these things, right? Where now at 23, after years of spending time more of like, I don't even know how to describe it, but I think that it's just important to be comfortable with who you are, and it's important to be okay. There's nothing wrong with eating alone, all right? There's nothing wrong with not fitting in somewhere. It's like now that I'm on the other side of this difficult period where when I was growing up, I didn't understand myself as well as I do now. It's like, hey, I'm not the type of person that's going to fit into a social group. I'm the type of person that's going to start a social group or start a social movement. And you guys have seen that play out with BridgeMind. And I think that being okay and being comfortable eating alone and being alone and not being surrounded by other people is okay. And it's something that you should do. And that's just something that I thought I would share this morning, because it's like even interesting to think about is I'm like, man, I was eating alone in the bathroom, and like that's so weird, right? But at the same time, I can see now after years how it shaped me and how it molded me that, yeah, in high school I didn't have a lot of friends. And, what it's led to is just so interesting. It's so interesting how my life has played out and how it continues to play out, because if I didn't go through that, I would not be in this position. If I didn't go through that lonely period where I spent a lot of time by myself, or I spent time eating alone, or I felt, those certain ways, would it have spurred me on to motivate me to go to the gym? Would it have spurred me on to motivate myself to start coding and start my business and be okay with those significant gaps of time spent alone? I don't know if I think that there definitely is probably a correlation with people that become successful and bad social lives. I think that if you're hanging out with a lot of people, it's like goes back to that concept of, you are who you hang out with, right? And if you spend a lot of time with people, hey, is everybody out there vibe coding and starting businesses and building things? It's very hard to find that. And I think that something I'd like to share this morning is like, hey, that's a reason why I've started BridgeMind and started this community, is because, yeah, I'm that guy that ate alone. I'm the guy that, when I was 15, 16 years old in high school, I was eating lunch in the bathroom, right? Like, it's so funny to think about now, just because I can see how back then it was from a place of like insecurity, or, I had this group of people that was being mean to me and was bullying me. And, it was just hard for me to navigate that at that young age. But now, coming out of it and seeing how things have basically changed, I know the people now that used to mess with me and how they turned out, right? And I know the people that, made fun of me, or the people that rejected me, and I know how they turned out. And I just want to emphasize the fact that, hey, it's totally okay to be alone. And I think that you should be comfortable in your own skin and confident in who you are as a person. And if you are spending significant amounts of time alone, make sure that your time is spent towards something that is meaningful, that is going to grow you, right? Because at the end of the day, that social sacrifice that I went through in terms of spending all that time alone, it ended up growing me in so many interesting ways, right? And I would just say that if I had to go back and say, hey, do you want to experience that again? I would say, yes, put me through that again so that I can experience it and so that I can grow into the person that I am today. Because would I be the person I am today if I hadn't experienced that, right? Would I be as confident as I am today if I hadn't gone through those periods of time where I had no friends, or I was eating alone, or I was, doing all those things, right? It just grew me into a better person that was more confident in who I was. And now I've accepted the fact that, hey, I'm not going to be the person that fits into a social group. I'm going to be the person that starts movements, that leads people, that leads communities. And that's what you guys are seeing play out in front of you. And yeah, that's a part of my past that I want to share, is that, yeah, when I was a freshman in high school, I was eating lunch alone in the bathroom stall. And I just remember at that time how much it bothered me, right? It really bothered me back then. But there was a shift at some point where I just accepted it. And once I accepted it, then everything changed for me, because then, now years later, I run into those same people that were mean to me, and I see who they are now, and I see who they've become, and I would not change places with them for a second, and I almost appreciate them for what they did. And so let's say, so what's up, chat? How's it going? Super Code Monkey, what's up? Sorry, I had to go on a little bit of a rant there. Max said, I can't be the only one that loves being alone. I hate socializing. What's up, Max? Linux, good morning. How's it going? Yeah. Shiro, what's up? Super Code Monkey, what's up? Definite Code, what's up? Sarah Caffeine said, how can I get rid of negative thoughts and energy when I work on a project or idea? I always have these thoughts. What if the idea won't succeed? Or what if no one believes in my idea or will help me? Yeah, so, I think that kind of goes into that same thing, right? Which is, I think that you just have to get to the point where you understand that positive thinking, positive energy, positive thoughts is going to win out, and it's going to be good for you, right? And that's why, if I go, I have like a personal website, right? Like, if I go to MatthewMiller.ai, like, something that I think is incredibly important is optimism. That's like one of the pillars of success that I do believe in. I believe in consistency, focus, discipline, character, and optimism. And with optimism, that's what I would share, and that's what I would say. Yusuf, how's it going? DJ Slag, what's up? Solry, what's up? How's it going? Jesse, what's up? Definite Code, what's up? But yeah, I think that optimism is just so critical as a driving force for whatever you're doing, right? You have to be optimistic, because there is a lot of negative energy. There's a lot of negative things that you can think, and hey, the odds are stacked against you, right? The odds are totally stacked against you. And you have to accept that, and you have to accept the fact that what's actually going to improve your odds is being optimistic and not letting those thoughts kind of like intrude your thinking, right? It's very, very important that you do that. So yeah, I don't know if that's me sharing too much, but I just thought it was important, because I actually, what's interesting is I actually forgot about it, and sometimes I do remember it. Skull Crusher, what's up? Sometimes I do remember those times, and I'm like, it's hard to even remember them now, and at the time there was so much weight to it, right? But now that I've grown and I've become the man that I am today, I'm happy that I had to experience that, So Dev Realm says, believe in something if you see the idea so you can do it. Yep, 100%. Yeah. And yeah, so guys, one thing that I mentioned at the start of the stream is I am seeing a significant uptick with ViewCreator. First of all, ViewCreator website visits, as well as ViewCreator. I've seen a significant uptick in ViewCreator signups, specifically pro plans. So I will say, I've said it all along, but I do believe that we have something here. And I believe that as we continue to work, we're going to make progress. And it's like what I said yesterday. Hey, that progress compounds to where there will be a point where, ViewCreator is making, let's say, 5 people are going to be subscribing to that pro plan every day. And we'll just be like, wow. And, one thing that's also interesting. So I'm like very philosophical this morning. I don't know. I'm just like in that mood. Also, one thing I will say is I do have to go to Purdue today. As you guys know, I did drop out this semester of like 3 classes, but I did negotiate with some of my professors that were like, hey, we understand that you're running a business and we want to support you, and you only have to come to school like once every 2 weeks. So I am going to have to go to Purdue today. But, sorry, I'm like really philosophical this morning, so I'm just going to keep on this rant while I evaluate and see what I want to get done. But one thing I want to say is that, that progress is going to compound, right? And I think that if you don't get to the point where once you have the success that it makes complete sense that you got it, then, like, for example, once ViewCreator gets to the point where we're making, let's say, $100 a day or something like that, right? I won't be that excited because, I've worked so hard that of course it's going to be making $100 a day. And of course it's going to get to the point where it's making $1,000 a day. And, it's because this whole time I've put in the work and I've put in the effort to the point where it will make sense when I get that success. And I think that it's very important that you work hard enough so that it will make sense when that success comes, right? And that's just something that I want to share because, hey, when I get that success, which I will, when we get to that point where, we're making $1,000 a day with ViewCreator and people are like, how did you do this? How did you, it's going to make complete sense to me. Because I know what went into it. I know what I sacrificed. I know how hard I worked. I know what I did. Silent Spectre, what's up? Yasinil said, what do you think of anti-gravity? Can it surpass cursor? No, anti-gravity, I did a video on it this morning. It just went out right before this. And anti-gravity, I would not recommend using it yet. I think they still have a lot of work to do. So I would not worry about it yet. It's kind of like just noise. It's just noise. Review the home page. When there are these animations, it's like glitching out a little bit, and I'm not sure why. For example, in the connect and manage all major platforms, there's almost like a glitch in the UI as it renders in. But yeah, I mean, guys, if you haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. But sorry, yeah, Linux, I am in deep think mode. It's just interesting because, I've worked so hard and I've given up so much that, it is interesting to think back and look back. And I will say something that did spur it on is yesterday I was at the gym and I did see somebody from my high school. And it was just interesting because, I was talking to this guy and he's a good guy. And he was saying that he was just telling me about what he does. And he went to school for CS and he was telling me that he's doing a data entry job with Power BI and for an insurance company, right? And I asked him, I said, are you using AI to help you, right? And he said no. And he said, sometimes I use ChatGPT. And, it's just interesting to me because what I've realized is that we are early adopters in the sense of the extremes that we have gone to integrate AI into our workflows and our lives, right? I think that vibe coders are some of the most well-adept people that know how to use AI and know the power of it, right? Because we've seen these workflows and we know how powerful they actually are, right? I know how to manage multiple agents at once. And I know how to manage these agentic workflows. And it's just interesting because when I talk to somebody that is saying that he doesn't use cursor, he doesn't use AI, he doesn't use these things, it's just very, very interesting. It's very enlightening. It's very, very enlightening. So let's go over, and something that I want to do today is, it's very interesting. So I did notice a problem that we have. So I want to go to the Google Search Console. I'm actually going to show you guys the data that I'm seeing for ViewCreator. So it's very interesting. And this is what I was seeing at the start of the stream. We're seeing a significant increase in ViewCreator traffic. So I don't know why, but we are experiencing it. And you can see it just bungee jumped up to 41, 55 for the past 2 days for total web search clicks. And an issue that we have is, if I go to ViewCreator, do you guys see this? Do you see the favicon here? And do you see how it's not, it's the wrong favicon? Hold up. Do you see this one here? If I zoom in, it's this favicon. And I think that the reason that this is happening is that today, we need to update our sitemap, and we also need to make sure that we have the favicon set up properly. I think we have some issues just with that favicon. Droid Tech said hard work is a tough pill to swallow for many, myself included, day to day, day by day, boys. Let's go. Nobody succeeds overnight, not even Elon Musk. Yeah, 100%. Sorry said, very true, and a community like this truly helps with motivation. Yeah. And by the way, guys, so I do have to go to Purdue today. But I'm going to be doing a Friday night grind stream tonight. I have no plans tonight or this weekend with anybody. I'm going to be working all weekend, so I'm excited to do that stream. Linux said that success is subjective. Also, don't force yourself into a box. Some of us have some rather humble goals that folks would laugh at, but life is that we all have different victory conditions. 100%. Yeah, well said, Linux. Yeah. So one really cool thing that we were doing last night in the Vibe Coding No Talking stream is that we did update the playground. And guys, this is actually really cool. So as you guys know, the new Nano Banana model came out, and this was something that I was in the Vibe Coding No Talking streams, a rule is that, hey, you can't talk, right? But let me find this because it's super, super revealing, I think, as to how good this actually is. So check this out. So here is the actual PNG that I have been using for ViewCreator. And then on the right here, you're able to see the actual, like, what Nano Banana 2 or Nano Banana Pro outputted. And look at how clear what Nano Banana did versus what this did. And I did create this logo with AI originally. I'm not really a big logo person. You know, if ViewCreator ends up being a huge success down the line, you know, I'll probably bring in like a marketing team. They switch up the logo. But I just created this, and it's just interesting that look at the quality difference, right? Like, do you guys actually, I mean, look at this. Look at the quality difference. You know, and this is Nano Banana Pro. And I think this one was created using Nano Banana. This one was created using Nano Banana Pro. Yeah, Droid Tech said Nano Banana fixed it up nicely. Yeah, 100%. Hung said the anti-gravity has been growing on me. Mine switched from cursor. Hung, I don't know. I don't know about that. I did a video on it this morning. I'm not a huge fan. Not a huge fan of anti-gravity myself. I just think that, hey, they released an MVP just because Google released a product, which, yeah, it's a Google-made IDE. That's fantastic. But just because they released it doesn't mean that you should be using it necessarily, okay? Sori said that the favicon takes time to update. I don't know if they fixed that. Yeah. So the reason that we're having this problem with the favicon is that we do need to submit a new sitemap. Like, there's a couple things that we're gonna fix right now. So first of all, somebody noted that the blog page is not rendering. It's actually throwing a 500. Do you guys see that? And the reason is because I had get static props and it's not set up correctly. So we're gonna push an update that fixes this. Murari said free pass for test. Yeah, you can sign up for free. There's a free account here on ViewCreator. But we're gonna look at this. There was another issue that I had where is on the playground here, and if I go to history, I don't think that there's a cores. Oh, actually we fixed it. Let's go. Oh my gosh. All right. Sorry, I forgot that. All right. So wow, look at that, guys. It looks incredible. Hung said not into it initially, but it gets cooler the more I use it. Yeah, anti-gravity is full of bugs at the moment. So, Droid Tech, the reason that the first logo was so blurry is because the first logo was actually using the regular, I made that logo, I think actually it may have been ChatGPT, but I made the logo with AI, and, you know, what I think is cool about this is that, you know, what we're able to see now is we're able to see how far the image gen has come in this short amount of time. One interesting thing that I want to see is we're going to have to, there is a favicon. Okay, so let's pull up cursor. I need your assistance in helping me update my favicon for, and I'm going to do ViewCreator UI here. Okay, so I need to do a couple things. So first of all, we're going to go over to Canva, okay? And we're going to now update this with the new favicon, okay? So this, you can see how blurry this is, right? So we're now going to drag and drop this new image, okay? And we're going to, can we do a transparent background on this? Let's see. Or is that technically a white background? Let's see if we can do transparent on this. Oh, that's actually interesting. Johnny Johnson said anti-gravity. Did you realize the name has AGI in the right order? That's interesting. I didn't. All right, so so, no, wait, hold up. Click here. Okay. So I don't think that actually... Can I do a transparent background inside of Nano Banana? Let's see. So we're going to use Nano Banana Edit. And so this is... Nano Banana Edit costs 15 cents per... Sorry, hold on. Okay. So we're going to do 4K resolution, one image. This is the logo for ViewCreator. I want you to create an image with a transparent background for the ViewCreator logo. Is that going to work? Let's see. Also, guys, I saw something on X this morning. Oh, whoa, internal service error. What the heck? That shouldn't be happening. What was it? Request entity too large? I got this error when trying to create an image in the playground. You can transparent it without editing. It works? Okay, good. Cool. Thank you. Shout out to U to J, Ray. All right, playground. So we're going to pick playground and then ViewCreator API. And I will say a lot of people are saying that they're like saying that Gemini Pro is only good at front end and it's not good at back end, but I disagree. I think that it's done a decent job. Hung said there is a nice upscaling plugin inside Canva if you're on Premium, really nice. I do have Premium on Canva, but also I should on Canva. Shouldn't I be able to? Where'd my Canva go here? All right, so if I go back over to Canva, I should be able to have a background remover here to do that anyway. No, it doesn't work. Interesting. Use remove background services. Yeah, I just tried that, Yasir. Christopher, what's up? But yeah, guys, if you are just tuned in, haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. I've got to go up to Purdue today, so it's going to be a little bit of a shorter stream. But yeah, tonight I'm basically going to be like grinding on Friday night. I have no plans. It's all about the grind. But something that's really is cool to see is that, we are seeing an uptick in ViewCreator site visits, and we're seeing an uptick in subscriptions purchased, which is nice. So we actually have, people that are paying for the Pro subscription. And then again, here's the data. So you can see the huge jump. I don't know what's causing it. Maybe it's the marketing streams that we're doing. But actually it was Bridgemine Darius in the Discord server. What was interesting is that, he said this morning, he was like, ViewCreator is going to be able to market itself just because it's genuinely a useful marketing tool. So, it was cool because, I started and created ViewCreator out of my own need to create a platform like ViewCreator, right? I literally started it because I was like, hey, there is a need. I need a platform that does this, X, Y, Z, right? And, what's interesting is that now that we have ViewCreator, we're able to use ViewCreator to market ViewCreator. And once we get approved, as you guys know, I have resubmitted for Meta and TikTok for verification. It did fail the first time around, but we were able to make some adjustments and I did resubmit. So I'm hoping that we get accepted on this next time around. But one thing that I will say is that once we get accepted, then I'm going to be able to use ViewCreator for all sorts of marketing purposes. And what's nice is that rather than paying for some subpar platform like Hootsuite, I'll be able to create all the functionality that I need in ViewCreator to succeed as both a creator and a brand, right? And it puts me in a very, very unique position because what I'm able to do is, let's say that I need a platform that has all of the features that integrate long form video to short form. Oh, wow, look at that. So there's the generation. And I will say, geez, this has come so far. So is that actually transparent now is what I'm curious about. Like if I now take this and I drop it here, is that actually transparent or is that just the background? You see what I'm saying? Like if I don't know, guys. Like if I do download and do transparent background, is that we'll see. Like, is that just a transparent, that's weird. Sorry said, I really like the anti-gravity, but I still think Claude is better. Yeah. Yeah, I do look like Tom Holland. I get that a lot. Yeah. Is that actually transparent, though? I don't think it actually is. I think it just gave it that background that makes it look transparent, right? Because if I do this, if I do background remover, is it going to actually remove that background? Please? Yeah, there we go. All right. So I think that's going to work. So now let's go over to Perplexity, and what I need to figure out from there should be some favicon generator, right? Like there should be a favicon generator. I remember I've used one for past businesses, so PNG to ICO. Converter, quickly generate your favicon from an image. Because there should be a bunch of different favicons. I think it was the red ketchup one that I may have done. Generate the favicon from text, generate the favicon from an image. Let's try this. Let's just try it. And which one is it? Did we already download this? No, we didn't download it yet, did we? Mr. Organic said there's a place named Background Remover. You can remove the background instantly and have it be transparent. Yeah, there's a place. So technically, I think I already did it with this here. Yeah. So this is fully transparent. So we now need to create like all those different favicon sizes from a singular image. So I know that the best way to do this is, yes, there we go. And then aspect ratio, square, width, height, and then background is transparent, generate favicon. Okay, so yeah, so it's creating a zip file. Hopefully I didn't get that rootkit just now, but let's go here. Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is why we just use this. So for favicons, this is actually something like important that for those of you that do have your own websites, it's just like an interesting concept, okay? So when you're doing favicons, you need to create like multiple different types. So like here are the different, this was redketchup.io. I did this for us for free. And what I now need to do is, now that I have this, I'm now going to like just take this. I'm going to move this up to my other monitor, but I'm going to open up Cursor. And I'm now going to go here. And I'm going to go to this. I'm going to go to public. And I'm going to just do like favicon. And I'm going to just drag and drop all these in there, okay? Site manifest. Okay, I think there's create different fava for different devices. Yeah, so that's what it just did. Oh, a nice animation would be the eye blinking. That's a good idea. Shout out to Ollie. XCarm said you can use Bria, remove background from uppercase to remove background from images super fast, and use Sharp to convert it to favicon. Might want to integrate this to ViewCreator. Yeah, so I think we're good now with what we just did. That should do it. But guys, if you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. Today's stream is going to be a little bit of a shorter stream just because I have to go to Purdue today. But I will say, tonight we're going to be going pretty hard vibe coding. It's Friday night. Got nothing planned. And you know, that kind of correlates back to that eat alone concept. I think over the years, I've just become very, very comfortable in my own skin. I've become very, very comfortable spending time alone. And, okay, like, look at this. So yeah. So this is like, okay. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to go here, and I'm now going to drag and drop this. Review this favicon directory in the ViewCreator Creator UI. Yeah, I'm getting Whisper Flow sometimes misses there. Because I said ViewCreator Creator UI. All right, so review this favicon directory in the ViewCreator Creator UI. I need you to update the project so that it properly references these favicons with best practices for the favicon. Facts No Care said another day, another grind. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna do plan with this one, and we're kind of reuse. Actually, we're not gonna. We're gonna have it do this. And we're gonna then do the same thing for the ViewCreator UI site. But yeah, I mean, one thing that I just do find very interesting is that, you know, when I have these conversations with people about if they're using AI, you know, AI is just so frowned upon right now. It's so frowned upon, and I just think it's very interesting that it's so frowned upon. For example, you know, just that conversation that I had yesterday with a friend of mine from high school, saying, oh, no, I don't use AI. You know, it's very helpful for me to be able to learn quickly, you know, using ChatGPT. But just this idea that I don't see how you can be doing what our community is doing with AI and not see the trajectory that this has. I don't see how you couldn't see it, you know. But, you know, I don't think a lot of people are seeing it. Okay. Perfect. Perfect, perfect. Perfect. Okay, then we also have the favicons here. So we're going to essentially have it do the same thing. But the reason that it's not doing it well in the ViewCreator website is because, like, in ViewCreator, we don't have, look at this. Do you guys see what this, look at this Apple Touch icon. Like, there are issues with our current favicon setup in the ViewCreator UI project. So I'm going to say now do the same thing with the ViewCreator UI project. And I'm going to drop in public. Sir Knight said because, wait, Georgie Tech said it's just proof there's a lot of smooth brains out there. Mahadi said, is that Cursor or what? Gemini released? Yeah, so this is Cursor. So I did do a video this morning on vibe coding with Google Anti-Gravity and Gemini 3 Pro. And I am not personally a fan, at least for me, you know, everybody has different workflows. I will say, you know, the Google Gemini, it's very early on. You know, they just released it. It's buggy. It's getting rate limited. It's nowhere even close to Cursor. There are some interesting things about it that I will say do have a lot of potential. I will say that 100%. There is a lot of potential. But I will also say that I would not be jumping on the bandwagon here. What? It said that I deleted this file, didn't it? I thought it said that. You guys see that? Favicon. Make sure you do the cleanup. I don't think that you actually did delete those files in the public directory that were the prior favicons review. You guys see that? It said deleted, but it didn't actually delete them. Delete the unneeded favicon files from both public directories. Now that we have the favicon directory that is used for favicons, delete the unneeded favicons now. Facts No Care said, yeah, you got all types, ones that hate without reason, ones that know it can help you learn quicker, and others that hate because they fear losing their job. Yeah. I mean, you shouldn't fear losing your job. You should just figure out how you can implement it in the best way possible, right? And that's what I have a hard time understanding. Why is it saying deleted in it? Do you guys see that? It's saying deleted, but it's not actually deleted it. Look at this. If I hover over this, it says public favicon, and it's this file right here. And this file is not deleted. You see that? Maybe it's an issue with Gemini Pro. Try that again. You still did not delete them. That's just interesting. It didn't actually delete them. Or it still shows. I mean, it could be a... I mean, look at them. They're still right there. That doesn't make any sense. Sir Knight said, last night I found out for sure Gemini 3 is buggy. When it works, it's great. But when it does, man, sticking with Sonnet 4.5 for now. Really? Yeah, I mean, I used it, and in the anti-gravity video, you saw the test that it did if you guys watched that video. You know, anti-gravity, I had it do the browser use, and what's really cool about anti-gravity, and that is different and doesn't exist, let's say, in Cursor, is that you can actually have it go through, like you can literally say, go to the website and test the sign-up flow. And that agent will be able to go through the process of doing that for you. Yeah, at this point, it would just be faster to delete on myself, but... Whoa. So that's just kind of an interesting thing to note. So Composer was able to delete, but Gemini 3 Pro wasn't able to delete the files. Do you guys see that? So Composer was able to get it first try, and... Yeah, that's just interesting. Composer 1 was able to get it, and the other, Gemini 3 Pro, had a hard time doing it. Distortions asked, why don't I just delete them? I don't really like to manage the code base myself. I like to have AI do everything for me, which may sound laughable, but I just think that that's the way that things are headed. So I'm going to get really good at that. And I will say, to this point, I've had that perspective since 2022, and to this point, I have been proved very, very right. So I'm just going to continue doing that. So now if I open this up and I go to localhost, I'm assuming that everything, hold up, everything looks good. Let's check the favicon. Internal server error. Oh, geez. Dwee said Gemini 3 changed my database TS in my project, created 52 type errors. Sonnet couldn't unravel it, but GPT 5.1 Codex eHigh figured it out after working through it for 50 minutes. Impressive stuff. That's actually helpful to know. Takuru said if you do it yourself, it isn't in the context window, so it's better to have the agent do it. What do I use for auth? I use Passport, so I built my own auth system. And the reason that I do that is because rather than have authentication like modulated, like let's say, like, and this is from experience, so I'll just kind of give you guys an example. So when I was, leading Bright Choice, I had an engineering team, and I wrote 2 million lines of code myself in 6 months. And one of our engineers that came in, and he was like, hey, we should switch over to AWS Cognito for authentication, right? And I was like, sure, it's HIPAA compliant out of the box. Let's do it. Good idea. But once you do go with an auth system like AWS Cognito, which is the Cognito, like I would use Cognito. If I was going to use an auth system, I would use Cognito probably. Hold on, guys. So, once you switch and start using, an auth system like that, you lose a little bit of control, right? So I would say that, hey, I didn't want to use an auth system out of the box like AWS Cognito with ViewCreator, just because I want to be able to, once this scales, to be able to do the refactor and figure out, hey, where do we want to take the auth, right? And there's nothing wrong with like Passport. There's nothing wrong with building your own auth system. You're going to save yourself a little bit of overhead if you use something like AWS Cognito, right? But then there is going to be vendor lock. You're going to be with AWS Cognito, and you're kind of going to be a little bit stuck, which is fine. It's just I've learned from my mistake with that. I did learn a couple things through doing that, so that's just one thing I would say. So if I go to blogs now, what's it look like? Are we good? Also, here's the favicon. Looks good. Man, I think that we should probably run an npm run build here soon. Do I need somebody to pen test? I mean, I've had a bunch of scripts being run against the site so far. Sir Knight said, I can't say enough how important it is to use an IDE that allows you to specify the level of reasoning with Sonnet 4.5. Sonnet 4.5 High is a beast and will absolutely get the job done. Yeah, Passport is Node.js. Why am I using NPM over Bun? I like NPM better. All right. So I think that we probably should get this pushed here. One thing I want to check is this. Are we using get static props or get server side props anywhere in the application here? Okay, cool. Remove them from those blog pages. I do not want to use them there. Do I have a collection of great prompts? I don't. That's what my vision for BridgeMind.ai, that site, was, but I'm just so busy with ViewCreator, and ViewCreator is how we are going to hit $1 million. I mean, guys, in my opinion, I don't think $1 million is actually that. I think we'll be able to do it with ViewCreator. I really do. I believe that. And that's what we're seeing is it's like, and that's what I was talking about with like just this concept of, you know, eating alone, being comfortable by yourself, being alone, being okay with it. You know, I think that some people are not very comfortable being alone. And, you know, kind of with what I shared at the start of the stream is that, you know, because of my experience in high school, it just, yeah, I mean, it taught me so much, you know? It taught me so much, and just to see how, you know, those guys that used to bully me and mess with me and how much they hurt me back then when I was a weaker person and hadn't grown into the man that I am today, you know, being able to reflect on that is actually very, very helpful, because I can see how those guys turned out, and, you know, they did play a part to some extent in my personal journey, right? Because, hey, these were guys that were genuinely messing with me, right? And, you know, I remember, for example, one of them, there was like some girl that I liked, and, you know, basically I was talking to this girl that I had a crush on, and the guy came up to me and he was like, why would you be talking to that girl? Like, you're so effing, like, fugly, right? Is what he said. And, you know, just like stuff like that where, for example, that would have such an impact on me back then, right? To the point where it would genuinely hurt my self-confidence. And I think that it's going through things like that and experiencing things like that where you know, I was hurt, right? I was like, oh man, like I was trying to talk to this girl that I liked, and, you know, Kevin came up to me and, you know, he called me fugly, right? And that, you know, hurt my self-confidence or whatever, right? And the thing is that, you know, I'll tell you right now, I have seen how guys like that end up turning out in the long run. And then I see how, you know, I see how that shaped me. And it's just interesting. You know, it's interesting to note. Yeah, anti-gravity does need a lot of work. All right, so we're going to push this code here because we need to test it, okay? So we're going to push all this to production. Oh, shoot. We probably need to run npm run build, don't we? It's all right. Yeah. Droid Tech said real leaders don't need to bully or push people around. They're naturally born. Yeah. But you know, another thing that's interesting is just that, hey, over time, you realize, you know, the experiences that you go through and the things that you do is that everything is going to shape you and everything's going to make sense of, you know, why it happened, right? So, you know, what's cool is that I'll be able to look back a year from now, and even like now I can do it, and I can go back to like day one of when I started programming all this and starting this this series, and I can go back and I can look back and I can see it and I can say, wow, you know, that's pretty cool. You know, I started out with, you know, goalpost, and then I transitioned to something else, and then I transitioned to something else, and that else thing transitioned into this, and, you know, nothing is lost, right? As long as you keep making progress every single day, things are going to work out for you very, very well. I can promise you that. And that's why, especially in today's world, AI has just completely leveled the playing field for everyone. So, for example, you know, if you're just getting started out now and are using AI, I actually think that you have more potential than somebody that is, for example, resistance against AI use, but has been in the field for 20 years. I'm not even kidding. I think that you have more potential. And maybe that'll change, right? But I do believe that the future is going to look like, hey, it's going to be the best people are going to be the people that are able to manage these agentic systems. And npm run test. Mahadi said, no matter how bad the people were in your past, rest assured that we are with you every step of the way, supporting you and staying with you 100%. Thanks, man. Yeah, and you know, I think that, you know, it's like, I share that because, you know, I think that it's just important, because I think that a lot of people out there struggle with that very same thing, right? Like, of letting people like that get to you, or of not having that self-assured self-confidence. And that's why I wrote up on the board today, eat alone, because you have to just be very, very self-assured in who you are as a person. And I have gotten to the point where I am very, very self-assured. And there's not going to be a lot of things that are going to bring me down. I have my mind on the mission and the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And yeah, like, it's just something that I've now become accustomed to, is that things like that just aren't going to get to me anymore. And I'm completely comfortable with going long periods of time without, I don't even know what I would call it. I would call it maybe like, I don't know what I would call it. But like for this weekend, for example, right? I have no plans this weekend other than working on this mission and working on ViewCreator, working on BridgeMine, streaming, spending time with you guys in the community. And I actually like that, right? I genuinely enjoy that and I like it. And there's not really going to be a whole lot that's going to be able to bring me down, let's say, right? Like, I'm very, very focused in on the mission, and I don't have a desire or I don't have a big need, so to speak, for like outside validation, if that makes sense. So all the internal drive is coming from my own drive. And I think that that's very important, right? Is that I've become comfortable enough to know that, yes, the payoff that I'm going for right now, that you guys are watching, day 81, vibe coding an app until I make $1 million. Current revenue is $1,469. I'm working incredibly hard towards this mission, right? And when I wake up in the morning, it's all that I think about. I mean, I woke up this morning and the first thing that I did was I started working. And I was excited to wake up, and I was excited to start working, and excited to make progress. And, it's having something like that, you're waking up and working towards every day. And everybody, I hope that you guys that are watching, you guys all have your own things, right? I know that, something that's been shared with me is that a lot of you guys are working on your own projects, are working towards your own visions. And that's why I think that this community is so incredible. And why I recommend that if you haven't already joined the community, I really highly do recommend that you do join the community and join the Discord in the description or pinned to the chat, because a lot of us are working on a similar mission, right? It's different things. I've talked to a lot of you personally, and it's all sorts of different things, right? But, the one commonality is that I think that a lot of us in this community are excited to wake up every day and work on our visions and our missions. And that's something that I share openly, because I just wake up and I'm just genuinely so excited. And I think that I didn't always have that, right? And maybe I won't have that. This could easily all go away just like that, right? And that would not be great. I would be disappointed with that. But right now I do have it. And right now I am on this mission. And right now I don't know. I'm just so all in that I don't even know what else to say. Offer John said he's working on about 3 now, bro. Let's go. Robodex said that he's working with the Metropolitan Police on a platform called RAC Evidence. Users can upload evidence online and receive a unique code that officers can use to access the files, like videos and CCTV. That's cool. Robodex, good to see you, by the way. Uday said, no plans for the weekend. Happy to spend time where I really enjoy. Yeah, let's go. So this is deploying right now. We're going to be able to see these updates in real time. We just want to make sure, because now if I go over to the Google Search Console, what we need to do is we need to update an updated sitemap. So if you guys have your own websites, one thing very important is that you start managing this with the Google Search Console, because this allows you to actually see web traffic. So this is what I was talking about, is that ViewCreator has seen a significant spike in traffic. It's really started to go up. I've started to see a lot more signups, and I can't tell you exactly why that's happening. We are having more people pay, and that's great to see. I feel great about it. We're just getting started, but one thing that I want to say is, so today we're going to go over this sitemaps here, and see how it's saying couldn't fetch on the sitemap, and it's saying HTTP error. So this is an issue. We're going to need to fix this, and I just want to make sure that we have everything like our favicon updated, so that when we do this, it's going to be able to solve a couple errors at once. And these are just kind of SEO issues, because at this point we are kind of waiting for the verification, right? We're waiting for verification from Meta. We're waiting for verification from TikTok. We have received Google verification, but I think that we'll start to see a real uptick when we get the marketing plan figured out, which I'm still brainstorming. You guys have seen me do some of the marketing. I'm making the shorts and stuff like that. Hold on, I'm getting in my AWS account just so I can make sure that I confirm that this is building correctly and not failing. But I think that over the next, remember that our long-term goals here are by January 1st, I want to have 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. I want to have 1,000 members in our Discord community, and I want to have the ViewCreator 2.0 launch completely ready to go. And you guys are watching this in real time, and it's like, hey, we are, you guys are seeing every step of this journey, right? And okay, it looks like it did fail. These did fail. Let me see what caused them to fail here. Is there anything building still? Failed 2 minutes and 90 seconds. All right. Does not exist. Okay. Shoot. Okay. I think this needs to be pushed. This is the most important one. Hung said, you just set up GTM and UTM to measure attribution. Takes under 5 minutes for UTM, better for traffic breakdown. What do you mean GTM? What is that, Google Tag Manager? Right? Because I do have that. If I go to Google Analytics, we can also pull that up. Google Analytics. Analytics. So hold up here. So I'll show you guys the Google Analytics as well while this is deploying. Offer John said those 2 days of marketing is really paying off. Yeah. Jesse said these are a small crucial days for something impactedly big. Yeah. I have not been to China. Prana said push-up time. All right, so here's what we're seeing on... Wow, this is pretty cool. So here's what we're seeing on Google. So this is the analytics here that we're seeing. Hold on, let me push this real quick, and then we'll go over analytics. UTM for links attribution. Oh, gotcha. Okay, so let's push this. Okay, so yeah, so here's what we're seeing. So this week, 743 active users. So yeah, so 65% increase in active users when comparing November 12th and November 19th. So, you know, I do think that is in part because of the marketing that we're doing. And I need to do more of it. With verification, yesterday I wasn't able to do it, and then I have to go to Purdue today, as you guys know. But I probably will be doing some marketing tonight because we're basically going to be having like a Friday night grind stream tonight. So once I get back from Purdue, I'll just go live and I'll start grinding. But if I go over to ViewCreator, for example, like let's just pull up this ViewCreator channel, okay? And I want to show this to you guys. So this is just a YouTube channel. And look at this, 1,500, 366, 795, 245. And then if I go over to switch account and choose like this one here for ViewCreator, hold up here. I'm in errors trying to switch over. Let's just go to ViewCreator, right? So if I go to shorts, the shorts do pretty decent. Like this one, 582. Some of them flop. 31, 80, 14. Those flopped. This one got 1,200. So I think to just continue to grind, and eventually it will pay off if you continue to be consistent, right? So very, very important. Let's go check the status of the build here. It looks like it's still deploying. Mary, let's go. This is fully vibe coded. Yeah, I didn't write any of the code myself. Site manifest. What is a site manifest file for? The digital astronaut asked, did you already test codecs with GPT 5.1 codecs? Yeah. What is the best vibe coding model you used? I think that Codex is up there, Gemini 3 Pro is up there, Claude 4.5 Sonnet. There's like places there's different use cases for all these different models, so you can't really like, they all work together, right? Okay, it looks like this is deploying successfully here, so we're going to be able to test this here in a second. Jacoblint said, hi bro, I only vibe coded front end like a prototype, but I would like to build something as a product designer. What is your take on back end development with AI? Can you share some insights? Yeah, so I get this question a decent amount. You can totally vibe code front end and back end. You can vibe code everything. You know, you do need to have more knowledge of backends. Backends are more complex, so as a developer, you need to know what you're doing a little bit more when you are vibe coding a backend. You know, with front ends, there is definitely like a lot less risk, right? Like when you introduce backends, that's actually the backend functionality of your application. So there are a ton of things that can go wrong. You can leak environment variable keys, which isn't actually a huge issue. I haven't found that. I found that, you know, AI is actually pretty good at security. FilmSnip asked, do I have a software engineering background? Yeah, so I know a lot of people know my background, but I'll kind of just talk about it a little bit more. I'll repeat it. So I went to Purdue University to study finance. I started programming in Python when I was a teenager. I went off to Purdue to study finance. I've always been interested in business and entrepreneurship, so I went to study finance. And my sophomore year at Purdue is when ChatGPT came out, and I kind of started learning how to program. I was using Codecademy to do like a full stack developer certification, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and learning how all of that worked while ChatGPT was kind of taking off. So what I found was that, you know, hey, ChatGPT is going to change the way that developers do things because it's going to be able to write the code for you. I saw that immediately. So instead of, you know, programming manually, I started vibe coding, and I started vibe coding with the background that I had. And, you know, it's just gone very, very well because vibe coding has completely evolved from what it was at that point. At that point, you know, you would have to use ChatGPT, and it would literally just be, you know, you have ChatGPT open on one window, and you would have your code base open on another, and you would copy and paste between the two. But now it's completely changed. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Thank you to Digital Astronaut. Mr. Dev said, I think you need to summarize the stream to explain how to build the app like the blueprint client needs. Yeah, I mean, I think that people that watch, you know, as you guys know, you know, I'm not trying to be a content creator, so, you know, my style is I don't want to spend very much time editing videos. Okay, this has deployed, so let's refresh. And, okay, so let's actually, this is updated now, so let's go over to the blog page. Okay, so the blog page, no articles found. Oh, man. Okay, that sucks. All right, hold up here. All right. So, you know, I've gotten comments and stuff before where people are like, hey, if you just do this, you know, you're going to go viral, man, or you're going to get way more views. And really, you know, that's not what I'm about. I'm not about the sponsors. I'm not about making money off of YouTube. I'm actually just trying to share my journey. And if you guys go back, I have a video on my channel called My Vision, and it's a video from over 2 years ago where I actually shared my vision of what I'm doing right now 2 years ago. And you know, you guys are able to go back and see the vision that I had for what we're doing now over 2 years ago. And I think it's, you know, very, very interesting to see. So if you guys haven't already checked that out, I would highly recommend that you do. All right. So let's launch this here. What is up with, we're having some issues here. Yeah, going viral does help marketing-wise, I think, for sure. George Wall said, love the new platform pages. The Instagram one looks sick. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. I should try to be a content creator. That's not really what I'm about, guys. You know, and I'll keep repeating it. You know, I know that a lot of people, you know, would advise against that, right? But that's just genuinely not where my heart's at. That's not what I want to do. And I think it's fair enough to share that with you all and say, hey, yeah, like that's not what I'm going for. The mission is real. You know, the mission, vibe coding an app until I make $1 million, that's what it's about. And that's what you're going to see here on this channel, is you're going to see that mission play out in real time, without me, you know, trying to basically make money off you guys. Because usually the typical content creator route is that, hey, it's all about getting more views. It's all about getting sponsors. It's all about, you know, these just nonsense BS things. And, you know, these content creators just become walking advertisements, you know? And that's not what I'm about. That's not what I'm trying to accomplish here. It really is not. So, you know, I think it's fair enough to share that with you all and say, hey, listen, you know, Amiri said, if you believe in vibe coding, you have to believe in content creation too. I do believe in content creation. And with ViewCreator, you know, it's like, hey, I'm making it easier so that I can gain a bigger audience. But one thing that I will say is that, yes, I do want to build the community. I want to build an audience, but I don't want to build the community. I don't want to build the audience for the reasons that a lot of typical content creators do that, right? M3 asks how to start vibe coding. The best way to start vibe coding is to literally just start on a project that you are passionate about, that you believe in. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks of your idea. It doesn't matter if even you believe in your idea. As long as you get started, you will be set up for success. Use browser tools and review how no blogs are actually rendering in here. Identify why this is happening. A personal brand, a strong one. Yeah, I think that'll happen over time. You know, it'll happen over time. But, you know, I will say that, you know, what's going to end up happening is, and this is my hypothesis, okay? And maybe this will end up getting clipped someday. But I believe that with what we're doing, if ViewCreator can succeed, and if you can get to the point where, let's say, revenue gets to $20,000, everything that we will be doing and the purpose of this, the mission will grow on its own at that point, right? Because people will then see, okay, I was able to vibe code a website and make $20,000 in revenue in like 6 months, and now I have a brand, ViewCreator, and a business that I'm growing and I'm scaling, right? And people will see that, and the mission and the community will grow, right? Organically. And I think that if you approach it from another direction and become a content creator, and it's all about getting more clicks and more views, and it's all nonsense and BS, then it ends up failing because you weren't true in your mission. And I just want you guys to know that I am true to this mission. You know, the mission is what it's about to me, like truly. So, you know I say that a lot, but I think it's good to emphasize it, because even as this gets bigger and bigger, you know, I want to remind everybody that, hey, I'm not in it for building some massive audience that I can then monetize and make money off of. I think that that could potentially be, you know, a side effect of the mission, right? I think that the mission will grow naturally and organically, but yeah. Yvonne said, is it possible to change the current light mode to a vibrant white color that doesn't flash your eyes? It's also more modern than FFF. That, we could try that. Here, that's actually a good idea. Let's prompt it. Shout out to Yvonne in the chat. Let's try it. Yeah, Hung made a really good point. He said, try to be Mark Cuban famous, not Logan Paul famous. Cuban's famous for his ventures, not content creation. There are 2 ways. You could start with personal brand or not. Doesn't matter. Yeah. So did that do that? It did give it like a different... So I did FAFA. So I changed the FAFA. Cubic said I would add toggle switch to dark and white mode. I mean, guys, one thing to note is we're all developers, right? So developers like dark mode and light mode, but for the target audience, I mean, hey, if I sign in real quick, you know, we have this inside of ViewCreator. We have light mode and dark mode like in-app, right? You guys see that? So in-app, we have light mode and dark mode. But for the main home website, we don't have light mode and dark mode. So here's FAFA. But at the end of the day, these small design things aren't that critical. Look at that. Wow. That's amazing. So I want to make sure that this actually... hold up. Yeah. Mahadi said how to push the new work into the web that we can enter. What do you mean? Giovanni said small changes are sometimes the best. Oh, you know what I need to do? Let's actually launch a Codex agent for this. I'm going to switch the model to extra high. I now need you to review the ViewCreator API and the ViewCreator Creator UI in complete depth as it relates to connected accounts. I want to draw your attention to the pricing.ts and note that depending on the user's plan, they are limited to connecting a certain number of accounts. So for example, for the free plan, they're able to connect one account. For the pro plan, they are able to connect 5 accounts. I now need you to do an in-depth look into the API as well as the front end and make sure that there are actual limits to this, in that users, if they are on the pro plan, are limited to 5 accounts. If they are on the free plan, are limited to 1 account. If they're on the ultra plan, are limited to 15 accounts. And if they are on the business plan, are limited to 100 accounts. Review in depth and create a README plan for implementing this logic with best practices and planning your steps before actually updating the code. All right, so this is the GPT 5.1 Max High. NS, what's up? I will say I do feel very comfortable about where we are getting. I mean, 81 days in, we have verification pending. The website updates that we made this week were great. It's driving a bunch of traffic. We're about to update our sitemap, so it has the updated sitemap. I'm just very happy with all of it, to be honest. You know, something that's actually good to do sometimes is to actually create a sitemap like inside of the UI. Like there's a sitemap and then there's also like a UI sitemap. Sometimes it's good to do both. But guys, I see that we've got 90 people watching and only 42 likes. So if you guys are watching and haven't already liked the stream, make sure you do so. It really helps support the community and the mission and what we're doing. Also, just want to again mention that we are having a project sharing event this weekend. So this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'm inviting everybody to the Discord to join our project sharing event. Now, this event is what we do every week in our Discord community, and it gives everybody the opportunity to come up on stage with me and actually present what they're working on, to present their work and get feedback from the BridgeMind community. So with that being said, definitely welcoming everybody in to that event. We are doing it this Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So just a reminder, I'll be streaming right before, and then we'll end the stream around maybe like 1:55 p.m. and I'll jump over to that. But if you haven't already joined the Discord, there is a link in the description as well as pinned to the chat. So I invite you to join. And yeah. When I run the build, something that I'm actually interested in here is, so cd ViewCreator creator UI, and then let's run npm run build. And what I want to see is, what is this building all the pages? 64. Okay, 64 pages. So something I don't like here is that I want it to do a fetch to the blogs here when it's building the sitemap, okay? And there's like something to that. So I do not have these blog pages hard-coded. They're set up with, like, for example, this is how it works. And people can argue that this is a best practice or not, but I just, in public, I have blogs, and then I just have the content, and the content is all, there's a bunch of JSON files in here, okay? So what I want to do, can you help me update the npm run build process for the sitemap generation so that when building the sitemap, it also includes all of the URLs to the different blogs? This should work. Yeah. VPK Tube said Google's anti-gravity IDE is pretty phenomenal if you haven't given it a whirl. I'm not a big fan. I tried it this morning. Not super impressed, to be honest. I think they have a lot of work to do with it. I don't want to hate on it and say that like it doesn't have any potential, because it definitely does. Like, for example, one thing is, the anti-gravity browser tool does have the ability to do, like, to test workflows and actually process screen recordings for video. So I'm very impressed by that. I think that there's a lot of potential with it. But for right now, I still do think that Cursor is just leagues ahead. Some nice performance improvements with V16. Yeah, I'll probably do a I probably will do update. Why it's still not doing it? Let's try. Can we try this with a different model, maybe? Try Gemini 3 Pro. Then we'll do a revert. Did I try the killer feature, the Agent Manager Playground thing? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wait, the playground? I think you're talking about this here, right? The playground here. Playgrounds are independent workspaces, perfect for quick prototypes or following your curiosity. Move to a dedicated workspace to continue exploring multiple conversations. So this is the playground. So this is almost like a temporary chat, right? Yeah. Yeah, you can see in my video where I tried it. I mean, I'm just not super, I'm not going to be using it a bunch personally. $108 slugs. 108 blogs. That's insane. What am I using for text-to-speech? I'm using Whisperflow. I don't know if you guys saw, but Whisperflow, they raised 25 million. That's crazy. VPK Tubes, Cursor was the first people to do that, though. Look, in Cursor, you have the same thing, and it's even better, in my opinion. The project-to-project was actually pretty good. The project-to-project is pretty good. npm run build. So I'm just trying to see, can we get it so that the sitemap pulls in all of this? So there should be like 100 and... See, it's only 64. All right, let's try Sonnet 4.5 on this. So what I mean is when we run npm run build, it does generate a sitemap. Currently, it only loops through the pages directory and creates the sitemap based off of that. And what we actually need it to do is we also need to include some logic where it's able to include all of the pages for blogs. So review this in complete depth and update accordingly. So we'll add a little bit of a prompt engineering to this for Sonnet 4.5, but this is a good test for Sonnet 4.5. Cursor was the first to do the agent editor. So VPK, like what you're describing with the conversations on the left, Cursor has had that for like over a month. So that's not anything new. Like if you guys aren't using Cursor, Cursor is by far the best IDE for vibe coding. I'm not sponsored by them. Just, you know, my personal opinion. And my job is basically a professional vibe coder. Like that is, if I had to explain people, I mean, I would say entrepreneur for sure, but I would also say that, you know, what is my job mainly? I do a lot of vibe coding. So what I would say is, as a professional vibe coder, I can confirm that, oh, I'm using the creator UI. Oh my gosh. Guys, chat. This whole time I've been in the creator UI. Oh, that's embarrassing. I was wondering why I wasn't getting it. I was like, I know that this should be getting it on a first try. I know I've done this before. Wait, so has it already done that, though? That actually might be a good thing to check now. Because I was using... That was so dumb. Oh, jeez. All right, that's embarrassing. Oh, well. Okay, wait. No, it's only 50. Okay, never mind. We're good. So this is only generating 50 pages in that sitemap. Yeah, Cursor is superior, 100%. Ooh. George Wall said, I have Google AI Ultra. Anti-gravity seems buggy. Said I hit my limit in 30 minutes. Gemini CLI kept working. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, why would you be using anti-gravity? I mean, apparently Hong likes it, so I don't want to bash it, but I mean, I just am not a... just because there's a new tool, don't get distracted by shiny object syndrome. But I will say Cursor needs to have their eye out with Google coming into their space now. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go to school today. But what's nice is, I mean, I literally did drop out this semester of like 4 classes so that I could pursue this. I mean, we were blowing up. I saw it and I was like, oh yeah. I mean, I was like, I just saw what was happening and I was like, oh shoot, if I continue to miss 3 days a week, it's gonna make a huge difference on the growth trajectory of everything that we're doing, right? And did Claude 4.5 get it? The sitemap generation is now working perfectly. Let me create a summary document. Let's test it. Yeah, Cursor just be taxing. It does it with the with the README here. Like, let's generate a 2,000, 5,000 token README. Get some extra money, and it's still not generating the sitemap. That's cool. NS, yeah. Definite Code said, I joined the Discord yesterday. It was very refreshing to see how alive it is and how helpful everyone is towards one another. Thank you, Definite Code. Appreciate it. Yeah, we pretty much have a no asshole rule in the Discord. Okay, so this is still not working. I'm interested to see... I mean, can Codex get this? How could we make it so that when we're running npm run build and building the sitemap, that the sitemap is able to take into context all of the blogs and be able to add all of the blogs to the sitemap that is generated? And let's try plan with this. I do feel bad. I will say I have not been using GBT as much, just because the latency on it is so high. The latency on GBT is so high that it does make it a little bit harder to use GBT. And I've been distracted with shiny object syndrome with Gemini 3 Pro. But with that said, maybe we need to start using GPT 5.1 codecs again. Yeah, Mer9A, I do know that. Yeah. I mean, like I said, right now we're not really trying to push revenue. I think that here's how I envision things and how I kind of want things to go is that, right now I would say that we're waiting on verification. Like 100% we are waiting on verification so that we can actually like have a full end-to-end integration with TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook and Instagram, right? And right now we're missing TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We have been approved for X and YouTube, which means that, hey, we do have those features live so that users can integrate with YouTube, they can integrate with X and post directly from ViewCreator to those socials. But we are waiting on a, this build. Okay, let's see the build. So let's see if GPT 5.1, so everything failed on this. Let's see if GPT 5.1 is able to do it. Will be interesting. Brother Code said that he started using China's Tray IDE for $10 a month. It's pretty nice. George Wall said that 5.1 Codex Max is much faster and uses less tokens. It's really good. The name is misleading. Max, it's about a 30% reduction in token usage, but improved performance. Okay. Shout out to George Wall. That's good information. Facts No Care said, yeah, the time it takes to solve over iterating with Claude or similar is really annoying. Yeah, I mean, I've been a huge GPT person, but with the Gemini 3 Pro, I've been a little bit distracted with it this week, but maybe we need to start integrating GPT back in. Because once we get this sitemap generated, we'll pass it into the Google Search Console. And that'll solve our SEO and the sitemap issue that we were having is saying couldn't fetch. Why is it saying couldn't fetch? It's so random. Sitemap.xml. What the heck? I know what the issue is. We're going to do push-ups later tonight. Yeah, we're going to do a crazy stream later tonight, guys. Because I do have to go to school today, unfortunately. Alright, so it's saying that it works. So the question is, was GPT 5.1 able to one-shot this? Let's see. So it should be like 108 or 158 pages, but it's still saying 50. 108 JSON files. Hold up. It does said that the sitemap blogged 108 pages on 108 blog posts. But for example, if we go here, if we go to localhost, I'm interested to see if it is having those pages or not. Localhost 3000. So this is your sitemap. Let's see, is it only 50? Yeah, it's only 50. Interesting. Oh, man, I did not like that. Okay, so it's saying that it included 108 pages. So we'll look at it saying loading blogs posts for sitemap generation, found 108, including 108 published in sitemap, generation completed. So if we go to the sitemap, which is, where even is it? Sitemap here. Let's see. There we go. Okay, yeah, it actually did do it. It did do it. What backend stack? I use Nest. So like here, you can see that it is including all those. So that does look good. So let's now deploy this. Let's run npm run build and just, okay, we already did that. So we do not need that. Okay, so perfect. Let's deploy this. And then once this builds and deploys, then we'll be able to upload that updated sitemap to the Google Search Console. And we'll have solved this issue, okay? And SEO is very, very important, especially for, you know, what we're doing right now. Because, hey, as you can see from the Google Search Console, we're getting like way more clicks, right? We're getting a lot more clicks, which is good. And that's all inbound, you know, unpaid traffic, which is great. Oh, shoot. That's not good. Go to this page using browser tools and note that it is saying article not found. Fix the error that is causing this. Make sure that the blog pages properly render in the blog from the JSON file, respectively. Okay. If you guys are watching and haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. It really helps support what we're doing. Facts No Care said, living like a king again today. Chinese with spring rolls and having Claude and Gemini 3 back and forth. Plans on building a single Python script. Let's go. All right, there we go. So I will say that, you know, it's like, hey, you should know that the GPT 5.1 models, they are very capable. I have not been using them as much recently just because Gemini 3 Pro has been, like, pretty good, in my opinion. But like I say often, it's like, hey, there are different use cases for different models, and you need to remember that, hey, there are different workflows that you can use, and sometimes it's good to change in between the workflows. So that did work. GPT 5.1 able to one shot. What's everybody up to tonight, by the way? Anybody got plans for the weekend, or? Let's patch this, deploy. Let's go, Droid Tech. Yeah, I'm going to be working quite a lot this weekend, especially tonight. I've got to go here soon to go to school, but tonight I'm going to be grinding. But guys, look at this. Look at the GitHub. We're about to pass 4,000 contributions in the last year. Look, we haven't taken a day off. These are probably not even days off, though, because sometimes like I won't push code for like a couple days if I'm working on like a specific stack. Ubixar said, on that grind, you're a great motivator. Let's go, man. Jesse said, no real plans this weekend. Let's go. Let's grind, guys. This weekend is going to be a great time to make progress, honestly. Hung said, lock in building with my best bro. It's good to have a co-founder who is a childhood friend with the same mentality. That's awesome. That's like very, very nice to have. Yeah, so new user said, school, I thought you dropped out of college. Yeah, so as you guys know, I dropped out as a junior. And I had enough credits to make it worthwhile to say, hey, why wouldn't I finish my degree? So I was actually supposed to graduate this semester, but I dropped out this semester of 3 of my classes and worked out deals with my other professors to basically give me credit for BridgeMind. So, you know, I have to go up to school once every other Friday in order to attend class, have a conversation with them, you know, take the exams that I've missed. And so I'm going up today. But look at this, guys. We haven't taken a day off from programming. Literally, look at this. From September to now, we only have missed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. But also, I will say that, you know, these days are actually probably not even empty. It's just that I pushed the next day or something like that. NS, are you not pulling up? I thought you were pulling up to the crib, man. I gave NS an invite to the stream tonight. Facts No Care said work at the charity shop for a few hours Saturday, Sunday. Nice, dude. All right, let's check deployment here. All right, so we got 4 minutes left on this deployment. But also, if we go to the sitemap, if I go to ViewCreator, it's like sitemap, like O, or what is it? It's this here. All right. All right, yeah, so this does have it. So we are good to upload. So now you can go over to the Google Search Console, which is, we need to launch. So we're gonna launch the Google Search Console. Droid Tech, I'm gonna be like locked in. So tonight's stream is gonna be a long one, and it's literally just gonna be called like Friday night vibe coding grind or something like that. I don't know what it's going to be, but we're going to be grinding tonight pretty hard. Got plenty to do. All right. Wow, look at that. Okay, so sitemap submitted successfully. Success, 154 discovered pages. And now what's nice is once you actually upload the sitemap, so I'm going to remove this sitemap. And can I remove it? Why can't I remove it? Let's go here. Remove sitemap. So I'm going to remove this sitemap, and then what's cool is that now that you have that set up, right, you can actually go to Also, let's just confirm. Okay, perfect. So you can go to, for example, ViewCreator, and you can have it re-index your site. So I can go here, and it's going to retrieve the data from the index here. And then I'm going to say, once it pulls it up, I'm going to say request indexing so that it actually re-indexes the page. And that helps with the crawlers. All right. But guys, it is 12 o'clock, so, okay, indexing requested. It is 12 o'clock, so we did get that done, so that's going to help a lot with SEO. But guys, I do have to go right now, so if you haven't already liked and subscribed, make sure you do so. I'm going to be live as soon as I get back from school today. We're going to be grinding hard tonight, Friday night. Let's get a lot done, guys. Let's just keep making progress, and I will